Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar on Streamline content creation using LLM agents. This is Sheba and I'll be your co-host for tonight. Now I'm delighted to introduce our speaker Selvaraaju Murugesan, Head of Data Science at Kovai.co. So Selvaraaju Murugesan has over a decade of experience driving data science initiatives and AI strategy in both academia and the SaaS industry. And today, he'll be sharing insights on how LLM based agents are revolutionizing the way technical content is planned, created, and maintained, making documentation faster, smarter, and more scalable. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box and we'll make sure to address them towards the end of the session. With that, I'll hand it over to Selva. The stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Shiva. Um, so let's dive right in. So in this webinar, what we're going to cover is our three aspects. The first is how does the current workflow of technical writers in terms of the content creation. Then we will probably introduce to what is called LLM agents. What are they capable of doing, and how technical writers can actually leverage them in terms of adapting and using into their day-to-day practices. And the third thing we're going to cover is in terms of style guide. What's the importance of style guide in terms of the content creation? So if you look at how traditionally as a tech writer we create content, there are two aspects I want to cover. First, let's look at the product industry, especially the software product industry. So the technical writers, they sit in many meetings even during the idea conceptualization. They tag along the journey with the product managers. They sit on ideation sessions. They are involved in the PRD, the product requirement document creation. They work with multiple stakeholders, pulling the feedback. They also validate the custom idea. They're also involved in solution validation as well. Then they're also involved in actual UX design, how the UX will evolve, and they're also part of the QA handover or the developers handover, where they actually they build the feature, the product feature, and they showcase to the technical writers. So they sit on a series of meeting, the stakeholder meeting, and they usually take notes. Usually the tech writers use Notepad, Word document, Google Docs, or any other note-taking application they have, just to make sure the documentation is actually evolving. Okay, they get enough information to create some kind of them to get to the first draft. So that's happening in the product industry. If you look at any services industry, anybody who's involved in insurance, banking, in the service industry, they involved in mostly in the knowledge repository kind of a project or knowledge management kind of a project, and they're also involved in writing standard operating procedures, user manuals, and things like that. And the most important paradigm you need to understand is the tech writers, they sit in meetings. They sit in meetings to collect the new knowledge. And they usually have some kind of a note-taking app to collect the new knowledge. Okay, that's the bottom line here. And then the tech writers starting putting together the skeleton of what they want to write. Okay, they have the information in place. Now they have to organize this information, and they need to think through what's the content structure look like and how they can actually convey this new information or new knowledge to their customers. Okay, so that's the second part they do. And the third most important part, as part of the DDLC lifecycle, is that they have to be involved in content management activities, not just about creating content anymore. They also need to manage and evolve this content over a period of time. So they are also involved in a lot of this content management activities. The content management activities, some of the things I want to highlight is they're looking at taxonomy and ontology. If it's evolving, the new knowledge is evolving, they have to group certain things and they have to reorganize the content. So that's one part. The other part in content management is a lot of tactical things they do. For example, writing SEO, a meta description, if your knowledge-based site is in public domain. If you have any kind of, for accessibility point of view, they will also add alt text for the images. So those are some of the content management activities they undertake over a period of time, which are all time consuming. Okay, to get to the first draft of the article, it takes about a few weeks before they actually start to write the few words in the first. The note taking actually happens, but to get the skeleton of the first document takes time. What we found out from our research is that 80% of the time the technical writers spend in collating information. That's a staggering number. This is based on the research we did with communicating with over 200 technical writers across the globe. Here's the challenge the technical writers face. They sit in meetings, plethora of meetings, where they become passive listener during the idea initiation, when the product managers and the other stakeholders discuss about an idea, about a problem statement. They listen passively, but once the build process takes place, they become a lot more active, because they have to write a technical documentation for it. So they are actually asking a lot of probing questions, trying to get as much as information from the developers and the product managers, so that the documentation is more comprehensive. So that's what they do. And the other challenge they also face is searching for information. Technical writers have to do their own research and groundwork before they build the technical documentation. So they are looking to collate information from different sources, or it could be from internal knowledge repositories as well. They have to search in SharePoint or any of your knowledge repository you have across the organization to find out what is the missing information, or they can actually add more information to an existing article they already have. Okay, so that's the second aspect. It's very challenging as well. The third aspect comes to mundane tasks like taking screenshots. We sit in a lot of meetings and we feel that, oh, there is already a video recording, can I crop it from there, or this is of high fidelity video. Or we also wonder about, if they give you a software feature and then you have to take a screenshot from a development or a staging environment or a QA environment. It's a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, because you have to take a screenshot, you have to crop it, you have to store it somewhere, and you have to manage it, and you have to insert into the article that you already have as part of your process. It just takes time. Okay, it's not the productive work of a technical writer. I fundamentally believe that the technical writer's job is to write beautiful words that it actually conveys the meaning and the information to the customers in the way it is understandable and highly accurate. That's the fundamental job of the technical communication. Okay, but we find that there are a lot of technical writers challenge, and they also waste a lot of time. The other aspect is in terms of the technical writers challenge. Okay, I'm pretty sure when you're onboarded in the organization, somebody in the organization would have given you a knowledge transfer session on something called a style guide. They will have an organizational style guide, and in many organizations I've been working with, they have style guide which goes beyond 100 pages. Okay, if they have portfolio of products, it even goes to more than 100 pages. Okay, it's overwhelming for a technical writers to get that and then adopt it and then practice in the technical writing. And it's hard. It's extremely hard, especially if the rules in the style guides are extremely uh, large. It's impossible to remember everything and then actually apply it. Okay, there are a lot of ways to get around it. A lot of editorial reviews, they have a checklist. Okay, they usually check for a few things, and then you tick those boxes and then move on. But that's a bigger challenge in terms of how can I adopt the style guide in terms of writing my own content. The other nature of the software industry is that the products evolve. Companies, they go and acquire other companies, so obviously the style guide is evolving as the companies grow and scale. Okay, the other aspect is in terms of metadata. This comes as part of the article management, or the DDLC, the content management component in the DDLC lifecycle. The metadata, sometimes the metadata is added by the system, and sometimes they have to go and manually add it just for curation. For example, if you want to group something logically, we add some kind of a labels or the tags tags to a particular article that we write, so that we can actually group and organize in a certain logical fashion that the way we want to. Again, adding metadata is an additional overhead. It's a lot of drudgery in terms of doing this kind of work. The other aspect is reviews. We go into editorial review, and then we also expect some kind of a surprise sometimes, because the editor will throw a curveball at us. If there is no established quality assurance process, then obviously your review process is not um, going to be aligned with the quality assurance. Okay, sometimes the editors, they go out of the boundary, and then they actually give you a lot of reviews where you have to entirely change the way you write documentation. Okay, so it's very tricky as well. So as a technical writer, we all experience that. So just to take a little bit of a detour, so these are the current challenges in terms of the content creation, and it's all revolve around the technical writing practice. So let's take a step back and then look at what are the new technologies we have, is a toolkit, and then how we are actually adopting. And the moment ChatGPT got introduced, we learned this term called prompt engineering. So everybody wants to learn to become a prompt engineer. So they look at how to prompt a Gen AI toolkit better. So there are some of the frameworks out there where you specify the task and you give a right input, and then you specify how you want the output to be, and then there you go. You write a detailed prompt in this fashion, and then you put it through any kind of a large language model that can take this prompt and then actually produce an output. Okay, the main thing for a technical writer to know is art of crafting that right prompt. Okay, many of us come from a technical writing background, and we know how to write good prompts. Okay, but to make it tuned to the large language model in terms of using the right words, the right action words, and the way you format your rules, also matters to the large language model. And we learned that. And it is a very simple technique to make to use Gen AI in some of the activities we do. For example, I will throw a big article at a Gen AI toolkit and then put a prompt to generate an SEO metadata, meta description. This is 140 characters. It can give you within seconds, rather than us thinking through, and then it's a mundane admin overhead task that we have to do. So, which is great. So this is what we actually learned in terms of the prompt engineering. But there is a new toy or toolkit in the town, and it is an LLM agent. Okay, the large language model based agents, and you have seen a lot of companies coming up with this agentic kind of frameworks, and they try to do things. So let me explain what this LLM agent is. So an LLM agent is an AI system that uses large language model under the hood that can plan, reason, take decisions, and execute tasks autonomously. It's very simple. The moment you give a prompt, you are actually asking to do something. Okay, you are actually defining what the outcome you want. Okay, so the most important thing in the agentic framework is you have to define what's the output that you want, or what's the outcome you need. Then an agent under the hood will plan how to get that, how to achieve that output. It will decide if there's multitude of processes it has to take, what are the sequential step it has to take. It will decide, and then more importantly, it will go and execute it for you. So you just give a command, and then you wait and watch it doing things on your behalf autonomously. And having said that, one of the fundamental principle in building this kind of agentic system is having human in the loop. Okay, you can't trust these systems completely because they are probabilistic in nature. Excuse me. So there is always a human in the loop principle that most of the people who build all these agentic systems have in place. So as a tech writer, you'll be involved in reviewing what the AI actually wrote, and then correcting some of its mistake, and then probably getting it published very quickly. Okay, just to reiterate, an LLM agent or an AI agent is an AI system that can plan, reason, take decision, and execute tasks based on the plan it actually have, and then autonomously. Okay, so you get things done for you. So that's a very important aspect I want to convey. So the way we can actually apply in the technical writing is very simple. Consistent writing is very hard if you have a team of technical writers. Okay, sometimes the technical writers, they span across different teams in the same organization, which makes it even harder um, to have a consistent writing, because everybody have their own style. And then some of the challenges you'll face is some business terms are used inconsistent consistency excuse me, inconsistently. And some of the SMEs, they have the different they use same terms, so different terms to mean the same thing, and that's a bit confusing in terms of the communication. And the other aspect is, even the content structure is a bit different. Okay, the way they organize the content, or even a single article, the way actually they design the top, the headings and the sections and what goes into each section. So it varies depending upon the technical writing, because everybody has their own style of communicating or conveying information. It is not consistent. The problem with this approach is, if your writing is not consistent, there's no clarity in communication as a whole. Okay, as an organization or as a product, the technical documentation will not offer any kind of consistency, which means there's no clarity. That's where the style guides comes in, and this is a beautiful artifact that the technical writing community actually come up with to actually enforce the consistency in writing. Okay, so it's a standard for writing. It has a lot of rules in terms of how to write content and what to write content about. Okay, and there's also tidbits about the content structure. Okay, how do you want it to be structured as well? And many organizations, they don't build their style guide from the scratch, because it's very hard task, because you have to it's a co-design exercise across the organization, and everybody have to contribute to the style guide. And what happens in the real scenario is, they'll go and borrow a style guide from an existing best standards or standards. Okay, for example, Google have their own style guide, Microsoft, they have also their own style guide, and Apple have their own. So you can actually borrow best concepts, and you can actually tweak it for your own organizational needs, and that's what most of the organization they do. And as the products evolve, they keep updating the style guide. Okay, um, and a style guide usually covers plethora of topics. It goes from how do you use what kind of grammar, how do you uh, how do you capitalize words, what are the rules for abbreviations, what is the voice and tone we have to use, what is the formatting we have to use for hyperlinks, numbers, um, what kind of pronouns we have to use, what is the number formatting we have to use. Okay, what are the symbols that is allowed, and what are the most important thing is, we also have allowed list of terms that we have to use. Usually comes from the glossary, which is a curation of all the business terms that you must use, with the agreed definitions across the board, which is also hard to achieve in many of the organization. But a style guide comprise all these elements, and you have to put them into a nice little artifact into a document, and then you probably give it as a knowledge transfer for any kind of technical writing on board. And then you also sometimes have it as a more of an iterative or a periodic process as part of your corporate governance, where you run this knowledge transfer session every 6 months or every year, part of the audit process, to comply with the regulations that you have, so that everybody's on the same page. Okay, some of the industry standard guide, as I already mentioned, Google has a fantastic one. Microsoft, they also put a lot of effort in terms of creating their own stuff, actually adopt some of those. And some of you might remember the Chicago um, a manual of uh, style, which is a wonderful artifact in the tech writing community, where people can also adopt some of the best practices from that. Okay, so that's the part of the style guide. And In many organizations, they also have templates. Okay, templates is in where how the content is being structured. Okay, and it has different sections. And for example, if you take minutes of meetings, they also have a template. If you have board meetings, they also have a set of templates. If you write a step-by-step procedure, you also have a template. Okay, these are all very out of the box, and this is very uh, this is very customized for each organization. Everybody will have a different style guide for the same kind of a topic. Okay, for example, some of the sales calls we have a template, and in another organization will be very different. Okay, and so each section can be different in a template, and you also have FAQs as part of the template, and you also mention what kind of glossary you need to have as part of the template as well. So this is very important. So these three components covers how the template structure would look like, and the templates kind of complements the style guide. Okay, style guide tells you how to write a content. This one actually define a lot more structure into how that piece of information have to be put together. Okay, which is a wonderful artifact. So the way we need to, as a tech writer, we need to leverage this LLM agents is that we already talked about talked about how much time we sit in a meeting. So the idea is to collect the knowledge at source. The technical writers must look at where the origin of the information is, and we have to capture that information right there. And the GenAI tool or the LLM agent is capable of understanding all those information from different sources and then collating the information for you. Okay, and then if you supply the style guide to this LLM agent or an AI agent, it can actually comply with all the style guide that you have. So this is match made in heaven. So you're bringing together the sources that has a true new knowledge, and then you have a style guide along with the template that actually tells you how to write a perfect content along with the template in terms of the content structure, and you give it to this AI tool, and then based on the outcome that you want, you give a prompt, and the agent can actually decide how to stitch together these different information from sources and align with this writing standard and produce the output that you want. This is brilliant. So it will, instead of waiting for days to create a first draft of your content, you can do within minutes, and that's the beauty of this technology. And the other piece of a thing that we can actually use is, if you have a style guide and if you already written a content, why not use it to check for compliance? This is also amazing. So you can check for different scoring and then find out what kind of rules are being violated in each of those sections in your content, and then you can actually go and correct it. And more importantly, an GenAI tool also can suggest what can be done to comply with the writing standard if it detects any kind of ambiguity. Okay, so there is a lot of use cases we can look for these kind of scenarios where we can actually apply this technology. So as a technical writer, we are pressed for delivering more with less, and that's already happening. Most of the programmers, they're already adopting this agentic or coding agents to ramp up their product velocity. They're shipping features within few days now instead of a 2-week sprint. Okay, so as a tech writer, we also need to tag along with the velocity in which the product is also evolving. So the only way to do that is by using this AI agent to accomplish the documentation task, so that we can also match the speed of the product development. And the next thing is, with this toolkit, you don't need to have a big team of um, uh, reviewers and tech writing team. You can be nimble and you can be very efficient. Okay, what it leads to is you can actually reduce time to get your first draft. Okay, so that's the beauty of it. In this scenario, what a tech writer might do is, since they are not involved in creating content, they probably more go one level up in their value chain, where they become a more editor. Okay, they will do a lot of editorial thing and then guiding the AI to do the right thing. But then we look at some of the demo of how this can be done. So this actually shows that the technical writing profession is actually evolving. Okay, because the technology is shaping from it, and most important, the consumer trends are also shaping how we actually evolve our profession. So let's look at the first scenario. Let's assume that you are in a meeting where the meeting happens in a Teams or Zoom or Google Meet, where a developer is actually showcasing a particular product feature. Okay, he actually shows how the feature actually works, and he goes to navigate this UX and then show how this feature is actually being implemented, and that's the scenario we're looking at. So the technical writers are usually in the meeting, and they can be an active or a passive listener. And if they are actively involved in kind of a discussion with the developer, they will ask all these probing questions. Okay, they will, for example, if they build a feature for a file upload, they might be asking what is the maximum size of the file that can be uploaded. So these are the things that the developer might not cover, but these are the things that technical writers can actually ask to get the new information, and then to get more information from the product managers, so you can actually put it into the documentation. So which is the thing that a tech writer should do in the future as well. And assume that in this video a step-by-step process is shown. Okay, and after this video, probably you go and take screenshots from the UX. Okay, and what this Gen AI tool can do, if you have this, is if you have the Teams meeting with all the clear recording of the step-by-step process shown, the Gen AI tool, using a style guide, can actually write content and also take screenshots and also do all the admin work for you instantaneously. You don't have to do any more admin work anymore. The most important thing is you can get to the first draft of the article very quickly. Instead of taking days, now it takes about few minutes. Okay, so let me show you an example of how this is actually being done. So I'm going to show Document 360, and then I'm going to show you a project where I will actually explain how this is actually done. So here I'm going to create a sample category called webinar demo. And then I'm going to create it, and there it is. So now I'm going to create an article using AI. So this is the interface we have. So there's a thing called create article from video. Let me show you this video first, and then I will explain what it actually do. Okay. So let me show you the. So this is a video where this is how to add a business glossary. Okay, this is one of the video we have. It's a tutorial video, but again, it doesn't have to be this perfect video. So this actually tells you how to add a business terms and stuff like that in Document 360. And this is the video that we have, and it's about 4-minute long, and the video is MP4, and then it's about 26 megabytes. Okay, so let me show you this article feature where I can go and upload a video. Okay, and I'm going here, and then I'm going to choosing this, and then I'm going to click this button called include screenshots. I'm going to give a prompt. Okay, write a step by step guide. Okay, I'm going to click send. Yep. So it's going to take a few. Now the LLM agent is in the background, and it is doing your task. It's trying to plan how to create this article, and then allow you to take screenshots. I will come here while it is doing, but I'll also show you what is the style guide that we actually ship. So in the AI feature, we have the style guide. Okay, so we have we ship essential Microsoft style guide, and we also ship Document 360 style guide as well. If you want to see it, you can also go and edit it, and then you can actually see all the rules that you have. Okay, in your organization, if you have a style guide, that's not a problem. All you gotta do is create a new style guide and actually paste all your rules here. So the ADA agent, which is our own Document360's AA agent, can actually make use of the style guide to create content. Okay, so that's the important of having this. And if you don't want to create from the scratch, you can actually clone this as well. Okay, so you can actually clone this, and then you can actually put your rules. For example, we follow US grammar, you can actually say you follow UK English grammar, so everything is written on the UK English. Okay, and you can actually use it. Okay, and this is the and you can actually set few as a default as well if you want. Okay, so let me go back to this article. The thing is, even though it takes a few minutes for you to actually create this article, the reason being it actually have to go through this whole video and then pick out the right screenshot that actually explain the steps. Usually we do it manually because we know where the clicks are, but here the AI itself is intelligently capable of actually detecting where the clicks actually happen, because you have information in those videos which are rich. Is able to pull together uh, information and then create set of screenshots that is actually correct, and then actually embed them. Okay, the most important thing is, as once the article is created, I'll show you most of the metadata is automatically done for you, because you can actually specify in the style guide itself. Okay, let me show you that style guide. Okay, here we go. So okay, so it comes back with the with an article. It says how to create and manage a business glossary, and it takes step 1. Okay, it says step 2, add a new term, and it actually created the exact screenshot of how term. This is amazing. So import terms using CSV file, it got the right screenshot. And you can actually edit if you edit, and then all the steps are being captured, and if you want, you can actually keep it, or if you want, you can actually refine it as well. Okay, so I'm just going to keep, so let me I'm just going to keep it, and then, and here it is. I will show you the, so if I click on this and then I click on the alt text, see, I haven't actually added the alt text for this, but when I click on it, it already had a screenshot showing addition of a new term, which means the AI is intelligently able to add that alt text automatically for you. So there's less time in terms of article management. Okay, so this is the amazing stuff. Now, once you have this, now you can actually publish it right away. Okay, so I'm just going to hit publish and then say yes. Okay, there you go. So it takes about few minutes for me to actually get the first draft. And if you want, you can actually add, and you can also pull in information from multitude of sources and then actually enrich this article if you want to. Cool. So the next thing I want to show you is in article creation, during article creation process, content creation, the technical writers, they do a lot of research. So what do? We open up Chat GPT or Claude, and then we do a bit of research, and then we put a prompt, we sift through the information, and then we also look at how to bring that knowledge into our existing knowledge base. Okay, we also have to go and search our own knowledge base and then curate that information. As a lot of research work we do in terms of merging information from the internet and also using our own knowledge base to create a new set of knowledge article. Okay, um, uh, you don't need to switch tabs anymore. In Document 360, we have a feature where you can actually do that. Okay, so let me click on this. Then I'm going to say, um, for example, write about. So I already have an article called Moon Landing. So let's look at what I have. So I have an article about Moon. Okay, so there we go. There's some information about Moon. So I'm going to create an article about, create an the AI, and I'm going to say write about sorry, about moon landing, and okay, I want 3 paragraphs, and last paragraph talks about uh, um, controversies, okay, about Apollo program. Okay, I'm just going to do that. And here's the beauty. Here you can actually see I can either use the information within the your Document360 project, or I can also use that information with the web search information. So I'm just going to use this workspace and web, and I can also use the style guide that I want to use. Okay, here I'm just using Document360 style guide, and if I want, I can actually pick a template. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to click send. So it'll be created under the webinar video. It takes about few seconds for it to go and then look at your entire knowledge base and look at the web search, collate all this piece of information, research through. Again, an agent is actually doing under the hood for you, so you don't need to see what it's actually trying to do, will get the things done for you. So once you get the output, then you can actually do another prompt and then change it if you want, if you don't like it, or revise as per some of the requirements that you have. Okay, so that's the beauty of having this tool in terms of using your knowledge base and also external information to create a new article. Okay, uh, so you don't need to switch tabs anymore, so you can actually do it in one go in Document 360. So that's the message I want to convey. While it is doing that, so let me show you this moon article where I have some information about moon. I already talked about what is moon and how far it is and stuff like that. Okay, so this is going to use this piece of information to create that article. Okay, while it's doing that, let me go also look at uh, the next content creation feature, which is sometimes we don't get access to rich media like a video. Sometimes we get media transcripts from Teams or Zoom, and sometimes we also get audio. Okay, uh, and you want to use those things to create release notes or blog ideas. Okay, again, they have to listen to all these things and then transcribe and then use that. Now you don't need to do that. It can be done automatically with one click of a button. Okay, so I'm going to create an article about this writing agent that we have. So I'm just going to create from a media transcript where I'm going to drop a Word document. So the Word document actually contains some of the thing we discussed about this building this writing agent, and then as it just goes on. Okay, and then people are actually asking questions, and this is where it gets interesting, because as a technical writer, okay, I'm just going to say write an article. Okay, so I can actually choose a template here. Instead of choosing this, I'll just choose a Microsoft style, and then I'm going to send it. Okay, I'm going to create it. So while it's doing, so we'll come back to that oops. We'll come back to the moon landing. So look at that. So it actually created 3 paragraphs for me along with the FAQs. The reason it picked FAQ because I mentioned in the style guide I need 3 or 4, 5 FAQs. Okay, that's why it picked up. And then if you look at it, the last one is about controversy about Apollo program. Okay, all I got to do is keep it. Okay, and then I can hit publish, and there you go. All my research, once you run through, if you're happy with the editorial review, you can go and publish it. Okay, it's extremely quick. Let me show you what kind of things you can actually add in the style guide as a thing. So if you look at it in terms of article management, you can actually specify generate 3 articles for the tags, add 5 FAQs, add metadata. Okay, these are like the rules I actually put in, and that actually been obeyed by the AI agent in creating this. So let me show you this. So if I go here and then click on SEO, and then look at that. So the SEO is already done for me. If you look at tags, already the tags have been added. Okay, so this is really cool, and if you have any images and stuff like that, it actually adds all metadata and stuff like that. So this is brilliant in terms of reducing your admin overhead. It's still writing this article based on that. While it's doing, let me go back to some of the outcomes. So the thing I want to convey is an AA, if you use AA agents, you can quickly accomplish tasks, which means when I say task in the technical writing, we can actually automate a lot of this workflows we have more intelligently, and we can quickly publish an article, which means we are in line with the product feature velocity. Okay. And the next aspect is we always struggle with complying with the style guide and goes through multitude of processes. And compliance check. But if an AI writes it, it's 100% compliant with the style guide. 100%. It goes and checks and makes sure all the rules in the style guide is being adhered to. Okay, and it gives superpowers to the technical writers. It actually increases our productivity. Okay, let me show you whether it actually done or still it's going on. Okay, cool. So a key takeaway is you have to use AI agents to build a consistent content. It absolutely helps with delivering your documentation at a much faster pace, and the Gen8 toolkit is getting extremely powerful, such that it can automate a lot of our workflows and processes in a more seamless way. Okay, now I'm open to questions. Okay, here we go. Before I do the open questions, based on the transcript I've actually given, here is what it actually wrote as a feature documentation. AI writing agent, key functionalities, options for content creation, reviewing, accessibility, and then final touches. And yeah, it has. So I'm happy with this. And then you can actually publish if you want it to be. It cannot take a screenshot because I've given a transcript. You can actually manually add if you want them. But if you already have a video, which I already shown earlier, it can actually create screenshots from the video. Okay, so that's the amazing piece of technology we have.
Yeah, thank you, Selva. The session was quite insightful. I'm sure the audience will agree with me. Thank you, Selva, for walking us through the topic today. I
Yep.
hope the insights shared today gave everyone a clearer understanding of how LLM agents are reshaping technical documentation and inspired new ideas for enhancing your own documentation workflows. To everyone who tuned in, thank you for taking the time to be here and for all your questions and comments. And of course, if you have more questions or want to learn more about Document 360, feel free to reach out. We'll be back soon with another session soon. See you next time. Bye.